Ethan Walker was the kind of man whose name echoed through financial circles. A self-made millionaire, he lived in a luxurious mansion guarded by high walls and stricter silence. But inside, the grandeur was cold. He lived alone, no family, no true friends, only polished surfaces and lifeless routines. Each morning began with a tight schedule, a chauffeur, and his signature navy blue Mustang. Yet beneath his tailored suits and expensive watch ticked a heart tired of betrayal. Years ago, his brother Brandon had tried to steal his company shares, and since then, Ethan trusted no one. His life was all numbers, until a small smile changed it all. It started with a fleeting glance. A little girl, barely 7, stood outside his gate each morning, dusty-faced, in torn sandals, her eyes filled with hope. She never begged. She simply smiled. For weeks, Ethan ignored her. But something about her persistence, her quiet dignity, tugged at something buried deep inside him. She stood there daily, unmoved by guards' harshness. One morning, he asked, "Why do you wait here every day?" She replied, "You look sad, sir." "So I smile, maybe it helps." Ethan didn't respond. But something in his heart shifted. The girl, Lily, reminded him of his younger sister, who had died in a car crash years ago. And so, the man who once avoided emotion now waited for that morning smile. Tuesday dawned like any other day, sunlight on marble floors, breakfast untouched. Ethan walked out, briefcase in hand. But before he could unlock his Mustang, Lily came running, breathless, terrified. "Please, don't get in the car today." "Don't," she cried. The guards tried to pull her away, but Ethan stopped them. He looked into her trembling eyes and hesitated. Something in her voice pierced through his logic. "Fine," he said, puzzled. He cancelled his meeting and went back inside. Not 5 minutes later, a deafening explosion shattered the morning calm. His Mustang erupted in flames. Security reports confirmed, an explosive device had been planted under the driver's seat. Panic spread through his estate. How did she know? The media was ablaze. Attempted assassination on tycoon Ethan Walker. Everyone wanted answers. Investigations began, and so did suspicions. Ethan reviewed security footage and saw 2 suspicious men lurking outside his house days before the blast. One of them worked in his finance team. Suddenly, old betrayals resurfaced. Was Brandon, his estranged brother, involved again? Lily had vanished. Guilt tore through him. He had no idea where she was, or if she was safe. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. Every tick of the clock felt like a countdown. He remembered her eyes, scared, selfless, and certain. She had saved him, and he had let her disappear. Days passed. His home was more heavily guarded, but colder. Ethan felt haunted by that tiny smile that had once greeted him daily. Desperate, he sent his driver, staff, even hired investigators to search for the girl. After a week, he received a call. She had been found in a government hospital, injured. She'd been hit by a motorcycle. Ethan rushed there, his heart pounding. She lay unconscious, bruises on her arms, her clothes blood-stained. He sat by her bedside for hours. When she finally woke up, her first whisper was, "Are you okay? Did your car explode?" Not a word about herself. Only him. His throat tightened. For the first time in years, he cried. That evening, in a quiet hospital room, Lily told him everything. "I sell toys and sweets on streets. I stand near your house because the guards don't push me away anymore. That day, I heard 2 men hiding behind the hedge. One said, 'He dies today. The Mustang will be his grave.' I got scared. I wanted to run, but I thought, what if I don't warn you?" Ethan asked, "Did you see their faces?" She nodded. One was a man he had fired weeks ago for theft, Derek. The other, she didn't know. But now Ethan knew, someone from his circle wanted him dead. His past had come back with vengeance, and only this child stood between him and the grave. Ethan used his connections to investigate further. Derek, the former employee, had ties with Brandon. They'd planned it all, revenge for being cut out of the company. Ethan handed over evidence to the police, and arrests were made. But the betrayal weighed heavy. He looked at Lily differently now, not just as a child, but as a savior. He brought her home, hired a caretaker for her and her grandmother, and gave her everything she needed. Yet, he never forced gratitude. "You gave me life," he once told her, "let me give you childhood." But shadows lingered. Brandon had fled the country. And Ethan knew the war wasn't over. Once a place of silence, the mansion echoed now with laughter. Lily's presence lit up the halls. The staff adored her. She called Ethan Uncle Ethan. She colored in his office, waited for him at the gate, and made him laugh like a child again. One evening, she asked, "Why are you always alone?" He paused and answered, "Because I forgot how to love." She simply held his hand and said, "I'll remind you." That night, Ethan stood on his balcony and realized, he had more wealth now than ever. Not in gold, but in smiles, moments, and a little girl who taught him to feel again. Months passed. Ethan set up a trust in Lily's name, the Little Guardian Foundation. It supported education and safety for street children. At the launch event, as cameras flashed and guests applauded, he gave a speech. "Once, I lived in fear and silence. A child's voice changed that. She reminded me that innocence still exists. And it can save even the most broken of hearts." Lily, dressed in a bright pink dress, stood beside him, shy but proud. She whispered, "You're not alone anymore." One evening, as they walked in the garden, Ethan asked, "But why did you really wait at my gate every day?" Lily smiled, looked up, and said, "Because I heard those men before. Many times. They were always whispering near your gate. Planning. I was scared for you. You're a big man. You have many enemies. I don't know them, but I knew they were bad. That's why I stopped you." Ethan kneeled, his eyes moist. He held her small hands and said, "You saved me, not once, but every single day you smiled at that gate. You were my guardian when I didn't even know I needed one." And as the wind swayed through the garden trees, under the golden sky, two souls, one scarred, one innocent, stood together. Not as millionaire and street child, but as family.